This is Newsroom. Hello and welcome from Johannesburg here in South Africa. My name, of course, Eben Jansen. The show is live. It's broadcast from our studios in Auckland Park. We're also streaming live on YouTube right now with our whole show available on our YouTube channel on demand today. Illegal abortion continues unabated in South Africa, despite it being legal for more than 17 years in this country. Mark Shuttleworth wants some of his money back that he had to pay for taking all of his assets out of the country. Also, we'll introduce you to a brand new sport for women only a little bit later. It's called Waka. Katrine Malan will give us that introduction, but first, she has a news update.
Well, hello and welcome to Newsroom. I'm Katrine Malan, and let's take a look at the top stories this morning. The Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloemfontein is expected to make a ruling in the spy tapes case today. It follows last week's agreement between the DA and President Jacob Zuma's legal teams on what parts of the transcripts may be made public. The 5-year legal battle may now be brought to a close. Then also in Bloemfontein today, billionaire businessman and venture capitalist Mark Shuttleworth heads to the Supreme Court of Appeal to argue the decision by the North Gauteng High Court to dismiss his R250 million claim in July last year. Shuttleworth is demanding that the Reserve Bank repay more than R250 million it levied against him when he moved some of his assets out of the country. President Jacob Zuma is set to meet with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin later today. Zuma's working visit to Russia is to assess agreements between the two countries, which are both part of BRICS. The aim of the visit is to strengthen the existing trade relations, seeking ways of creating jobs, developing skills and transferring technology.
The president is here to assess the progress on different strategic agreements that they have made with Russia, and also to focus on key issues of mutual concern between the two countries.
U.S. health officials will announce today that a human study of an Ebola vaccine made by GlaxoSmithKline will begin within a couple of weeks and not later this year. The news comes as the Ebola epidemic in Liberia is spreading at lightning speed. Doctors Without Borders say they are struggling to keep up with the growing demand for treatment. Ebola has claimed the lives of over 1,400 people. And South Africa outclassed Australia by 7 wickets in the opening triangular series match in Harare. The Aussies posted a challenging 327 for 7, but centuries from Faf du Plessis and Aby de Villiers saw the Proteas to a memorable victory.
In the air, gone. Aby de Villiers snapples that one. And there was a sense that Imran Tahir would offer something different to the Seamers, who were lackadaisical for the first 10 overs for South Africa, and Tahir has done exactly that.
Well, remember, all those top stories are available on our Newsroom Facebook page. You can also follow us on Twitter at SABC Newsroom. Eben, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Katrine. Now, despite the availability of institutions where one can go for an abortion in South Africa, it is often easier to get an illegal abortion. Across the street, in and around the city, on lampposts, electric boxes with neon-coloured posters, all advertising cheap, quick and safe abortions. Abortion has been legal in South Africa since 1997. Let's just take a look at this package compiled by our producer, Ayanda Tlatswayo.
30 minutes abortion, Dr. Brenda. Quick and safe abortion, Dr. Tandi. Safe abortion, Dr. Mili. These are the few posters that we come across on a day-to-day basis in around the Johannesburg city. Abortion has been legalized since the year 1997. The question in mind is, why do people still resort in this? Would you consider them? Do you think they're safe?
I don't think I would, because for all we know, they could be from just anybody who thinks they can do it safely, because really there's not even any reference to it, like safe reference, like a practice number, like, you know, when you go to a general practitioner, like, so you wouldn't really know if it's safe or not. So I wouldn't.
I don't think they're safe because, like, you don't know where you're going. You don't know what instruments they're going to use on you. You don't have the correct procedure. And I don't know if you've seen, like, for colored girls, when she goes for an abortion and they use whiskey to sterilize the instruments that they give her an abortion. That's very dangerous. So, and they don't even give you a sedative, so you can pass out and, yeah.
No, never. I don't believe in abortion. I don't believe in killing innocent children. Yeah, so I'll never.
No, I wouldn't consider an abortion. I don't think it's safe for women. And it's not healthy for them either. Because it causes a lot of problems in the future when they want to conceive.
Street poles, traffic lights, electric boxes. Who can ignore these posters when they all promise to be quick, safe, pain-free, and even affordable? And the question is, are they qualified?
Let's just see how easy it is to get an appointment. I'm going to phone one of the doctors from the posters that I got. Hello. Am I speaking to Dr. Brenda?
Yeah, she's not around, but we work together.
You are together?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're speaking to Zanele.
Yes, Zanele.
Yes, I saw the poster when I was in town.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm actually 4 months pregnant.
Okay.
Yes, and I'm trying to get an appointment for an abortion, so I don't know if you can do that for me or if Dr. Brenda can perform a surgery for me.
Okay, when do you want to see me?
I would like to do it as soon as possible, but my parents don't have to know about this.
Okay, where do you stay?
I beg yours?
Where do you stay?
I'm staying in CBD in Jubet Street.
Oh, which street?
Jubet Street.
Jubet Street?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Do you know Conabri and Ilof?
Conabri and Ilof? Okay, you said who am I speaking to?
You're speaking to Jabulo.
So I must just phone the same number when I want to speak to you?
Yeah, but what is your number?
My number?
Yeah.
No, I'm going to send you now. But then, because the thing is that I don't want you to tell my parents about this.
No problem with that.
I just want to get over and done with this.
All right, no problem.
If I can come with my boyfriend, is it fine?
Is it fine?
If I can come with my boyfriend.
But it's probably never going to come alone.
Okay, alone.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you then. You said it's Jabulo. Okay.
Right.
I'll phone you by tomorrow. Let me just try. How much is it?
It's going to be around 550.
550?
Yeah, is it okay?
Oh, okay. No, it is fine. Thank you, Jabulo. And this is just how easy it is to set up an appointment. It's as cheap as that, only 550. I wasn't asked much questions, just asked to come alone.
Disturbing, isn't it? Many reasons been given for women who go for illegal abortions, and these include lack of awareness of early pregnancy signs, a fear of prejudice, pregnancy denial in some cases, the stigma of openly seeking assistance, preferences for traditional medicine, some say, and then there's family pressure as well. Now, joining us in our Pretoria studio to tackle this and talk about it is the head of clinical training, as well as a professional nurse, Sister Flora Mogasoa from Mary Stopes. Good morning, Sister Flora. Thank you for joining us here on Newsroom.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
17 years abortion is now legal in South Africa. We've just seen a clip where still for 550 Rand, you can get one on the corner of Elof Street here in Joburg.
Yes, unfortunately, that's the truth that is happening now in South Africa. The thing is, even though abortion was legalized many years back, as we are covered in the CTOP Act of South Africa, it's unfortunate because even though it is legal in South Africa, the accessibility of the service is a problem in South Africa. That is why it's so easy for illegal providers to advertise on post, and that makes it accessible, unfortunately, to our women in South Africa.
Could we have a problem in the health sector where young women, they don't want to go there because there's an intimidation factor maybe amongst hospital staff and the like?
Yes, those are the concerns that were raised amongst the research that has been made. Young girls, what they say they fear going to public hospitals where abortion is free because they fear stigma, they fear being victimized, they fear being treated badly by the staff there in the public sector. But however, it goes down to sex education, especially in young girls, because as we are speaking now, it is very, very, very rare that young girls, especially who are at school-going age, who are of reproductive age, are getting the correct sexual education at that level. And as you know, even as parents, they are also not that engaging with their girls.
Yeah.
And remember, we must not only talk about girls, because when coming to a pregnancy, it involves both girls and boys. So sex education is not given basically to our girls and boys, and they start engaging without any knowledge of the outcomes.
Sister Flora, now when I walk on the streets here in Johannesburg, I see lots of advertising for illegal abortions, but I don't see any advertising for the legal ones or the safe ones and so forth. Shouldn't we do more advertising and maybe look at better communication with people out there about the possibility of having proper abortions?
We should be doing that. The fact that our Department of Health is also advertising hugely, especially if you can look at ads like for circumcision and for recent one, the implant contraception device, I think abortion should also be put out there. But unfortunately, it seems like our authorities are also having their own values challenged when coming to advertising abortion. That is why it's so easy for illegal abortions to advertise, so easy on lampposts all over the city. You can see them advertised. So it is because our government is the one that is providing free services, and they're supposed to be a huge provider of these safe abortions. But unfortunately, we don't see that being advertised. However, as a private provider, Maristopes, we do have the way our own way of advertising safe abortion care, and we do have that in our website. But unfortunately, the illegal ones are using cheap methods that are also illegal, because putting an advert on the post of something like this so personal, it's also an illegal act, and not much has been done because their phone numbers are there. They can be called up and they can be caught. But it's a pity it's not being done that way. However, because abortion is a silent choice, our women feel also by just taking a number and calling somebody privately, it will be confidential, because going to a facility whereby you will be seen by everybody in one room, maybe 50 women or girls will be there, their privacy is also compromised. But indeed, it is a problem in South Africa when coming to illegal abortions. And of course, that is why our women end up in hospitals, end up dying, end up having their uteruses removed because of these illegal services of untrained personnel.
Sister Flora, we've run out of time this morning, unfortunately. Thank you very much for joining us. That is Sister Flora Makgashoa, the head of clinical training and a professional nurse, telling us about the scourge that's illegal abortion here in South Africa. What are your views on it? Do you have views on illegal abortion? Send it to us at SABC Newsroom. That's our Twitter account. That's where people interact with us, very much like the views that you'll be sharing with us right now. There you have feminist activist who says, did you know whether or not a woman has an abortion is actually none of your business? Pro-choice, says feminist activist. Yes, indeed, it is. Sanctity Human Life says, killing 55 million preborn girls and boys is tragic. Every abortion harms a mum and kills a baby. Pro-life, pro-choice, says Sanctity Human Life. Britt Treese says, see any happy abortion ads and slogans lately? Nazis did that too. About concentration camps, says Britt Treese. Don't believe in jet lag, says fact of the day. Works as a natural contraceptive. Unripe papaya works as a natural contraceptive and can induce abortion when eaten in large quantities. What is a large quantity of unripened papaya, I ask you? Your body, your choice. Nope. Where's that from? We've lost it, unfortunately. We have where mind begins. Your body stops where mind begins. Just run it further up. Nope. That's they issued this day. Today, that's what we're talking about. Illegal abortion continues unabated in South Africa without very much discussion around the safety issues that go with this. But let's move on and look at the front pages from around the world. In Latin America, papers are looking at how people of Gaza are now trying to pick up the pieces of their lives after Israel and Palestine agreed to halt fighting indefinitely. In Australia, down under, the Daily Telegraph is looking at the story of a Sydney jihadist who has been put on a national security watch list after being detained at Sydney Airport earlier this week. And then across the pond, the Miami Herald with a picture of people taking part in Spain's traditional tomato fight, the tomatina, on the front pages. There you can see they've got their priorities well in order. Our friends in Miami always up for a good time, I suppose. Now something for all our football supporters. Kaizer Chiefs went to the top of the table last night with a 2-0 win over Platinum Stars. But it was Orlando Pirates who stole their thunder with a 3-0 thrashing of Mamelodi Sundowns at Loftus. 3 simply sublime goals scored by the happiest team in the land. Let's have a look.
Complete this quite quickly. The flex down for Erasmus. It could be a chance for Orlando Pirates to find the back of the net. And yes! What a goal! Shipped over. The ball away. Played. Was it a timely pass to Erasmus? Can he do it? Once again! Magic, magic! Will want to go with this. It's Mieri who will set up Machoro on the far side. It's a chance for Orlando Pirates. Mataba. Now Machoro! Brilliant! He gets his third in 2 games. But this...
You wouldn't say that guy used to play for Kaizer Chiefs. Anyhow, we'll move on. Sorry, Llewellyn, it's 3-0, my friend. Newsroom will be back after a short commercial break.
I had a wonderful opportunity to use the parliamentary stage to bring the world's attention to what is going on. I am ready to go into prison again for the things I'm protesting against now. We salute women.
Welcome back. Newsroom on SABC News. Now, billionaire entrepreneur Mark Shuttleworth is taking the South African government to court to have the country's exchange control system declared unconstitutional. The case comes before the Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloemfontein today. Shuttleworth also wants the court to set aside a levy of more than 250 million rand he had to pay to get some of his assets out of the country in 2009. And ordered the South African Reserve Bank to return the money to him. He had assets of over 4.2 billion rand in South Africa when he emigrated, but transferred the assets out of the country in 2008 and 2009, each time paying a 10% levy. Shuttleworth blames the existing system of exchange control here in South Africa for forcing him to emigrate from the country in 2001. Now, Cornelo Legafola joins us from the Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloemfontein. Very good morning, Cornelo.
Good morning to you and good morning to the viewers.
Cornelo, it's a busy day at courtside there in Bloemfontein today, but just tell us about the expectation from Mark Shuttleworth's application there today.
What is expected is to see the senior counsels representing Mark Shuttleworth laying down their arguments with regard to the declaration of the policy or the regulation that actually ordered that Mark Shuttleworth should pay that amount of money, 250 million rand, as a 10% levy to the assets that he was actually taking out of the country, because it's the events that happened basically from 2001, between 2001 and 2008. That's when he was busy transferring his assets out of the country. And in 2009, he was finalizing to transfer all his assets, but they were apparently blocked as per the exchange regulation that is that was said to be constitutional according to the South African policies and laws. But Mike Shuttleworth was arguing that, saying that it was unconstitutional. That is the basis of the arguments today here that will happen at the Supreme Court in Bloemfontein.
How long do we expect this case to proceed then in the court there, Cornello?
We are not sure at this point how long is it going to take, but arguments are going to happen as we expect them to be a very much heated debate between the two sides, that is the applicants and the respondents. But it's going to be a very heated one. And what I can tell you also, and the viewer out there as well, is that Mark Shuttleworth in his arguments and the lawyers that are representing him, is that Standard Bank was misrepresented him, because there is this law also, or the policy within the policy that actually blocked the assets of Mark Shuttleworth, that he was not supposed, or he didn't have the authority to talk to Reserve Bank itself. Thus, he had to be represented by one of the commercial banks, and in this regard, it was Standard Bank. When Mark Shuttleworth handed his opposing letter to Standard Bank for them to present the letter to Reserve Bank, apparently Standard Bank wrote their own letter that was opposing this very regulation. So basically, he is arguing that Standard Bank misrepresented him, and he wants that to be reversed as well, and it must be deemed as an incorrect representation by Standard Bank. Thus, he wants to sort that one to be reversed as well, that this levy thing was imposed on the incorrect statement that was said by Standard Bank instead of the initial letter that he presented to Standard Bank for them to represent him.
Cornello, thank you very much for that update. And now there's another case in the court there in Bloemfontein. Of course, the spy tapes case. I understand your colleague Tebogo Leshaba is at courtside also for that case. You're going to hand over to him quickly so to give us an update.
At the moment is locked in the doors of the Court B of the Supreme Court, because the case has started, and the movements within the court when the proceedings are in place is very much restricted. So unfortunately, at the present moment, he is not able to move out of the court to give you as to what is transpiring in the court. But I can tell you safely so that proceedings are underway in the court. And we have seen the likes of the president of GA in the court sitting there in the public gallery. We're talking here of Miss Helen Zille.
Thank you very much, Cornello, for that update. Actually, we've got some breaking news on this scenario. I can tell you that the Supreme Court of Appeal has dismissed President Jacob Zuma's appeal to prevent the release of the so-called spy tapes. The judgment, of course, that was handed down in Bloemfontein a short while ago. So that's an update on what's happening in the courts. But let's move on and see what's happening in the online and social media space with our digital team here this morning. Nina Oosthuizen on the far side, and then Bongi Magali, our production editor, that is. Bongi, good morning. How are you?
Morning, Ewan. How are you doing?
Been another busy news week. EFF causing all kinds of consternation. As always, what's happening online?
Oh, everything is happening online, Eben. Obviously, today what we're looking at is the press conference by Public Protector Thuli Madonsela, expected at around 3 p.m. this afternoon, where she'll be responding to some of the statements said by the ANC in protesting her the release of the letter that she wrote to the president saying that he hadn't responded to her report on Nkandla. So we'll be looking ahead to that. That's going to be up on the site. But taking it back a bit, yesterday, the public protector took to Twitter, basically, to voice her concerns regarding what was going on with the ANC's comments that it was all on what she was doing was unconstitutional and she thought she was above the constitution. So we put that together so you can go and have a look and see all of the tweets that she had been putting up, statements that she was saying regarding either constitutionalism or lack thereof. And then obviously we must have, to balance it all out, the response from the ANC, because they also took to Twitter to put across their position on this whole thing. And we'll remember that all of this really kicked off, basically, with the newspapers of the weekend with the letter, but it went back to what was happening in Parliament last week.
What is the sense? Is Twitter the right place for this kind of conversation to be taking place?
I don't know if we can apply right or wrong here. What we can apply is immediacy and a big reach.
Yeah, I suppose you're right there. What about the EFF?
Well, we know that today that the EFF has got to go and plead their case with Baleka Mbete, whether or not they should be suspended from Parliament. We know what happened last week when they were chanting that the president should just pay back the money they disrupted
in Parliament.
So what we've got on our website is obviously the whole the video. We recorded that. We had been streaming it, so you can go and have a look if you didn't see it before. We've got some animated GIFs there and of what was basically going on within Parliament. You can have a look. There's also Baleka Mbete. They're coming up on our screens. Social media went wild with this. Everybody was like going on. We're not quite sure. Was it right for them to have done this? Are they changing the game in Parliament? What's going to be happening for us? And obviously a picture gallery, because sometimes you just get a shot. You capture people in the moment.
I loved seeing them in their expensive suits the day after in Parliament, when their overalls were taken off and they wore the Gucci and the Armani suits. That was very close to the bone for me. But let's move on. Shifty record, shifty September. Monday is the first day of spring, Nina, and we're heading into shifty September. Tell us all about it. I know you've been heavily involved in it.
Well, the thing is, South Africans have a proud tradition of sending a message to authorities by using music and poetry. And this is Shifty Records. Their roots are in the turbulent 1980s of the country. And what is a funny thing is they were censored from all television, from all radio, and their friends were actually the print media. And how they survived those times was literally producing artists such as Mzwaki Mbuli, Johannes Kerk Oral, Koos Kombuis from a caravan hooked up to a Ford. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, and I met the founder last week, Lloyd Ross, and such a humble guy, just wanting to create awareness with the South African music archives on music activism. And these are legends.
Yeah, music activism is very much a part of the fabric of our past. It's been the one way that we've been able to protest legally almost. But tell us about how things are going to be covered in the online space for us.
Well, we are covering, we're multi-platform, so we're covering for television news and for radio. We send out packages, so you might hear us on those platforms. But then you can find out all details online. Go look at some info, music graphics, event guides are on there. And also, today we actually went to visit the SABC Record Library, where they physically scratched out
some of the words.
LPs. As you can see on the screen, they physically scratched it out, blacked it out, wrote a void, and scratched the LPs so they could not be played on air to ensure they will not be played due to their vulgar and political lyrics.
The vulgar and political language, my word, how things have changed. And we are so fortunate to be living in the country that we live in today. But Bongi, Doodle for Google. The registration process has opened here in South Africa for this competition, but give us a little bit more background on it.
This is just brings a smile to my face. It's the first time that it's being opened to South Africa. The competition is for school pupils who are between the ages of 6 and 17, and they're invited to create a doodle with the theme South Africa of My Dreams. So if you go onto our site, you can go have a read about it, the background information, the requirements for it all. The deadline for this is the 22nd of October, and the prizes are quite nice. They're going to be awarded like 100,000 Rand technical grant for the school, the tablets, and what it is that basically a pupil may only submit one entry, but
Yeah.
there's no limit to the number of entries from his school. So if you can get the entire school involved, that's really, really great. I think it's a great project. It's going to be something that, well, obviously there will be a winner and people get to see their entries. You can go and have a look also at previous winners.
And the kind of stuff really makes a difference in people's lives, isn't it?
Yes, it does. It does. It brings out that creativity, and the kids can see that these things go forward. They go somewhere, and you bring them together. They're working together. I mean, you can collaborate the schools. It's just one of those things where you sort of need a good news environment, and this is just one way of bringing it also onto the technological sphere. As we all know, Google is huge.
What would be a good entry, Nina, into this competition, do you think?
I think I would bring out the South Africanness. I love my environment and stuff, so I would put a lot of animals and blue sky and sun and kids are creative enough on their own. They just need to express themselves. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. We've run out of time again, Bongi. Right. I know you've still got a lot to say.
I'm going to be quiet from now on.
Thank you, ladies, for joining us this morning and telling us about all things from Doodle for Google competitions to Shifty September. Sounds like we're making music this morning. Thanks, Nina and Bongi, for joining us, giving us an insight into what's happening on our digital platforms. Of course, sabc.co.za/news. That's where you can get a hold of all of the content that we put out. And, of course, on YouTube, just SABC Digital News, and all our stuff pops up. But let's have another look what you're talking about. Oh, they're talking about Orlando Pirates. All the Chiefs supporters are now quiet. It feels great to be Orlando Pirates fan when we win with 3-0. Yes, there we go. Is that Tuli Madonsela? Oh, no, it's not. I thought she was also saying congratulations to Orlando Pirates, but I'm aiming too high. Pizzo, as the Sundown coach, was really spiteful, insisting on a red card for Matlala. Less said the better, I suppose. Mr. Pirates Sundown Games, guess the repeat will do. Up the Bucks, but judging from the tweets, there was drama vandag. Yes, there were 3 fantastic goals. Tito Youngden, how does a coach instruct a match official to issue a red card to the opponents? Pizzo, crybaby. But we've known that all along, haven't we? Miss Lady says, Pizzo is such a crybaby, with lots of tears there. And then in my ear, I hear our Chiefs supporters talking about, what about Chiefs? What about Chiefs? Yes, Chiefs won, and they went to the top of the table last night again. But it's early days, and we wish them well on their journey this season. Isn't that so? But let's take a look at what's on our Facebook page now this morning. Today, there you will see that the Democratic Alliance youth leader Mbali Tuli stepping down from her position. Reports suggest Ntuli's decision comes amid tensions in the party's leadership in KwaZulu-Natal. You can also read more on why taxi associations from Mpumalanga, Gauteng and Limpopo want bus service Patco's operating license revoked. And you will see that the Western Cape High Court is expected to hand down judgment in the South African National Road Agency and Protea Parkway Consortium secrecy applications. You can find all of those stories and more on our Newsroom Facebook page. Now, before we carry on, I just want to give you the outcome in the Supreme Court of Appeal. It's dismissed President Jacob Zuma's appeal to prevent the release of the so-called spy tapes there this morning. Of course, that judgment was handed out at the Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloemfontein here in South Africa. Now, surf's up in the U.S., California. Yesterday, pictures and videos of massive waves on the southern Californian coast spread on social media as surfers simply couldn't resist. Thundering surf spawned by Hurricane Marie pounded the coast, causing minor flooding in low-lying beach towns. High surf warnings were posted for Los Angeles County, south through to Orange County. The National Weather Services warned that waves could swell to about 30 feet. Now, that is about 7 or 8 meters. The same around the South African coast, all the way from Cape Town up to Port Elizabeth. We'll speak to Paul Monaro a little bit later about that and the bad weather coming in the weekend. Time for us to take a break, though. Newsroom will be back after this.
Welcome to our Friday edition of A View from the House, coming to you live from Parliament. My name is Asanda Mbeche. President Jacob Zuma officially opens the National House of Traditional Leaders and calls on traditional leaders to work closely with elected public representatives.
South Africa is a much better place to live in than it was before 1994. Many of our traditional leaders can attest to that fact, having seen improvements.
A View from the House, weekdays at 2:30 on SABC News.
Hello and welcome back. You're with Newsroom. Let's take a look at the top stories this morning. The Supreme Court of Appeal has dismissed President Jacob Zuma's appeal to prevent the release of the so-called spy tapes. The judgment has been handed down in Bloemfontein a little while ago. Then also in Bloemfontein today, billionaire businessman and venture capitalist Mark Shuttleworth heads to the Supreme Court of Appeal to argue the decision by the North Gauteng High Court to dismiss his 250 million rand claim in July last year. Shuttleworth is demanding that the Reserve Bank repay more than 250 million rand it levied against him when he moved some of his assets out of the country. And President Jacob Zuma is set to meet with his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, later today. Zuma's working visit to Russia is to assess agreements between the two countries, which are both part of BRICS. The aim of the visit is to strengthen the existing trade relations, seek ways of creating jobs, developing skills, and transferring technology. Now, to conclude Women's Month, a new sporting code for women might be on the cards. The sport, called Waka, has been developed by Kibone Mhlongo while she was doing her PhD research at the University of Johannesburg. Waka is a combination of women in sports like soccer, cricket and rugby. The objective of the sports is to increase and improve women participation and capabilities in sports and exploit their talents in management and administration fields. Kibone Mhlongo, who is developing women presence in sports, the founder and inventor of the new women's sport, joins us today in studio. Welcome, Kibone.
Good morning and welcome.
Let's just start off. Waka, what is it all about? Tell us a bit more.
Waka is a women's sport. The name Waka originates from the first two alphabets is for women, and the rest of the alphabets is the combination of all the sports. I found that women were not fully represented in higher ranks. So during my research, I found out that many women between the age of 35, they are not interested in sports. And according to our research, girls also lose interest in sports. So that's where the idea came from.
Now, I know that you brought us some graphics to explain exactly how Waka looks, how it will look. If we can just have one of those first graphics up on screen, we can go from there and you can explain to us. Yes, here we have it. Take us through this graphic.
Okay. The name of the pitch is Galaxy. Waka is the only sport that you can get that has an educational significance. No other sport has educational significance. This is the Galaxy, and the star on top there is the Delta, the Canis Major. We call it the Canis Major because it has the target where the attackers must destroy the target. The name of the ball is the asteroid. The asteroid, remember that the asteroid destroyed the planets. So also the ball is going to destroy all these planets. This is the stand and the stand we've got all the planets whereby the attackers tried to destroy these planets.
And then this sport, tell us a bit more of what you see it, where do you see it going, and some other work that you do in this field as well.
We are starting with the development in the structured organizations like the schools, the police, and etc. And so I'm busy with Prof. Wim Hollander from the University of Joburg. We are going to introduce the sports to SASCOC and the Commonwealth Games as well as the Olympics.
I see here we've got another graphic. Can you take us through that?
Okay, this is the sports. The star with the target we call it the Canis Major. It's a major because it's hosting the target, and another star here is the Canis Minor, where the attackers are situated. We've got the Walker. The ground of Walker is the inner ground and the outer ground. We've got it's divided into the northern and southern hemisphere. It plays by 10 players aside. That means the defenders and the attackers. The name of the defenders are Trojans or soldiers. The soldiers are defending the attackers from accumulating points. And the names of the attackers are named after the stars. Like I said before, Walker is an educational sport. You can find the names and all the terms in the science textbooks and all in the science department.
Now, have you also told your professor that you're looking at developing the sport and would like to see it at the Olympics one day?
Yes.
How are you going to develop it further, and how are you planning on getting the women involved?
We are going to start at the community level, at the university, and then we are going to go to other settings like the police, the police, education department, all the departments in South Africa.
Well, Kabone, thank you so much for joining us this morning and telling us about this new initiative called WACA, Sport for Women. We'll be uploading all the information if you want to know more on our Newsroom Facebook page. But now Eben is standing by with Paul for our latest weather update.
Paul, is this a women's only sport, it seems? It's a reversal of roles when they're going out into the galaxy.
Seems like it, and I was getting interested, talking about the galaxies and the stars, because I'm all about the planet and science.
I know, you've got your head in the clouds at the best of times, that's right. Today, though, let's be serious. South Africa has a wider variety of climates than most other countries here in sub-Saharan Africa. The average annual rainfall here in South Africa is around 450 millimeters per year, but large and unpredictable variations are quite common. Now, environmental expert, weatherman, meteorologist, Singleton, Paul Minari is with us here today. Paul, let's talk about these variations, though. Okay. It has a massive effect, but what sort of variations can you highlight then in terms of rainfall and temperatures here in the south?
Okay, very well. If you could start with our images, hopefully they can upload them quickly. There we go. So this, what you see here, is a graph of what you can expect in Alexander Bay in terms of rainfall. So
this is Alexander Bay in?
Yeah, in the Northern Cape province.
Yes.
Just about at the corner of South Africa over the...
Just before you get to Namibia.
Just before you get to Namibia.
Yes.
This is the rainfall that you experience there throughout the year. So from 0 to 12, those are the months. And you can see June is the wettest month of the year.
Yeah, I see it, yes.
And the rainfall there is less than 20 millimeters a year.
Yeah.
So that's quite little. And the average rainfall that you get in Alexander Bay for the whole year is about 50 millimeters.
Yeah.
The next slide, what you're seeing here, this is Richards Bay. Now,
Bay.
This is in KwaZulu-Natal, just before you get to Mozambique.
Yeah. But no, they're on the same latitude, is that right?
Exactly, same latitude.
So why this big change between the two then?
Okay, this is where it gets interesting. We get over the eastern parts of South Africa, we get Mozambique and Madagascar, and in between there, that's where we get the warm Mozambique.
Warm water,
yeah, the Agulhas current that passes there. And the warm water actually leads to the warm air rising quickly along the coastal path and leading to rainfall. And along the west, where Alexander Bay is, you get the cold Benguela current.
The Benguela, yes.
And the Benguela one, because it's cold, no air will be rising from there. Instead, you'll get these cold and dry windy conditions that are coming in and leading to the rainfall being very, very low.
Now, turn it into a sort of practical thing. Say I'm a traveller, I want to travel. Do I take this into consideration? Is there best time to travel and so forth within this sort of scenarios?
Yeah, exactly. The thing about South Africa is, we are quite fortunate in that any time of the year is a good time to travel. I mean, at the end of right now is a very, very awesome time to go out and see flowers and everything's just sprouting and getting out there. And you can also, it's also a good time to go check out birds and all of that stuff. And the northern beaches of KwaZulu-Natal are hot right throughout the winter as well. And it's actually, you can go there at any point in time. But what you're seeing now in the background quickly is just to show you the differences between the two. This is obviously KwaZulu-Natal. All green and lush. Rainfall also always expected there.
Yeah.
And then the next thing that you would probably be seeing is the dry and hot.
Is the dry and hot desert conditions really in Alexander Bay.
Exactly.
But now, let's bring it back to where we live, Paul. We live in the big city a little bit. I've been now back in Johannesburg for 10, 11 years. And I noticed that the summers are a little bit wetter than it was when I first came to Johannesburg in 1994. Is there a change are we seeing more rain in the sort of summer rainfall areas here in South Africa and more rain in the winter rainfall areas? And what does that mean if that is the case?
Yeah, definitely. That's 100% right. We're seeing lots and lots more rainfall. The slight difference is that now also in winter periods, we're also experiencing some rainy conditions, and that's all due to the cut-off lows that we've been experiencing. I mean, just about last week or 2 weeks ago, we had thunderstorms, and it's still winter here in the Highveld. So there is definitely quite a change, and rainfall is starting to move away as well from, the usual places that we know, and in different seasons as well. And that is definitely linked to, stuff like global warming and climate change, and all because of what we're doing here as human activities, burning fossil fuels and over-consuming and not looking after our planet.
But now we see more rainfall. This is where I get a bit confused. We see more rainfall both in the south and the north, but we're still at the effect of drought and being a very dry country. Yeah. How does it work? Is it simply pockets?
Yeah.
And is it extending? Is Joburg at risk of becoming more like a tropical scenario, like Durban, or not?
Yeah, that's actually quite fair because, we are in a sort of a subtropical area in, where we are right now. And, we're experiencing very, very dry conditions over the western part of the country. And South Africa is almost a semi-desert. It's classified as a semi-desert area because of the dryness of the Northern Cape going all the way towards the Western Cape province. And there's a big chance that these could actually spread all the way. This is the risk of climate change, that this could spread all the way towards, places such as us here in Gauteng and possibly in Mpumalanga and Limpopo province as well as KwaZulu-Natal, which is what we're hoping we don't get because that's where we get most of our rainfall and that's where we get most of our arable land. So, those are the risks we should look out for.
Those are the risks we should look at. Very interesting, Paul. Thank you very much for giving us the weekly insight. Of course, whether or not with Paul Monare, that's what we're doing. Thanks again, Paul Monare, giving us, or talking in general about the unpredictability and the big changes we can see here in South Africa's rainfall. Now, Newsroom is broadcast live from our studios in Auckland Park, Johannesburg, every weekday morning between 9 and 10 a.m. The show repeats at 2 in the afternoon with a rebroadcast at 5 a.m. the following day. We're also streaming live on YouTube at that time with the show available on demand on our YouTube channel all of the time. This is SABC News. You've been watching Newsroom. Thank you. We love it in the morning.